We can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. So first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this very important webinar. And I really like the way that Dr. Patak has said the things about what the South collaboration should be. And while thinking about how to make the most of the 10 minutes that I have available today, I really wanted to focus on some aspect that they could be put in place in every single country of the Global South, whether that would be for developing more climate resilient varieties, be it drought tolerance, biofortified varieties, eventually developing gene edits going to the market, and so on and so forth. Because I believe that somehow, when thinking about how to make the most out of South-to-South collaboration, we cannot leave any single country behind. Therefore, the way that we think about and that we move forward is about developing and sharing technologies that they could be applied in every single country. But also, allow me just to start with one slide that I think that it very clearly shows what the South-South is all about. All of us believe that the Global South is quite relevant, and this is where we work. And we will discuss at length about food security, climate resilience, and other aspects. But on top of that, there is strength in numbers. Actually, the Global South, at the moment, it produces over 80% of the food in the whole world. We're very strong, and this is quite relevant. And actually, as you can see, the trajectory over the years, the Global South has become more of a powerhouse producing food. And I believe that we need to take this into account, because I think that, again, there is strength in numbers, and going forward, collaborating more among the Global South is very clearly the way forward. It's not only because of the current budgetary situation, it's because I see this as an strategic imperative in order to serve the needs of the small holder farmers. At the same time, though, there are some challenges, because while the Global South produces the vast majority of food in the world, as you can see on the graph on the right, the actual value is not captured in the Global South. It is captured elsewhere, actually in the Global North. So I think that, again, this is a very powerful reason for us to think and work very hard together in order to start changing this, so that we not only remain as the major producer of food, affordable, nutritional food in the world, but also we work in such a way that more and more of the economic value of such food production, it remains in the Global South. So with that, again, from a perspective that how can we enable every single country in the Global South, I really came up with the idea about arranging my presentation around 4 stories. They're about plant breeding. And in plant breeding, when you think about plant breeding, you really need to think about the process. It's not only science. Any successful breeding program, in addition to just the science, to the genetics, to the same underpinning that enabled the first green revolution many years ago, they still apply. And every single breeding program, again, in a very developed from a breeding perspective country, or on a less developed one, they really run on the same principles. And one of those principles is what is called the breeder's equation, which in a very elegant way, it shows the way forward for any single breeder in the world. You can think about the breeder's equation as the compass that will drive every single decision, every single activity that every single breeding program in any single country in the Global South need to pay attention to in order to be successful, and also in order to increase genetic gains and most importantly, to serve the smallholder farmers. We're having this webinar because we're serving smallholder farmers, and we need to keep that in our mind 24/7. Now, the first story is about less is more. What this story is all about. Essentially, when all of us have acquired some um, education about the statistics, we learn about the power of replicates. However, plant breeding it is different, and actually, you can really make much more progress by using updated statistics, and for instance, running your breeding program only with one replicate. With the tools are already there. There are P-reps and other experimental designs that they will really enable breeding programs in the global south just to use one replicate, and by that making a more effective use of resources, of water, and of labor. Okay, the second one. The second story, it also is underpinned on the breeder's equation, but this time about the speed at which you develop superior varieties and you develop higher genetic gains into small holder farmer fields. Reducing the breeding cycles is very good for you. And you could argue that this could be achieved only on deeper crops. However, I'd like to make the case that you can achieve this if you understand enough about plant breeding, but also if we share insight across the global south in every single breeding program in any single country in the global south. For instance, this is an example that I know very closely. It's about banana, one of the most challenging crops to breed in the whole world. However, even in banana, you can achieve tremendous genetic progress, as you can see on these varieties. But more importantly, even with a very complex breeding program where I don't have the time to go into detail, but essentially you are crossing triploids with a diploid species, you go into the tetraploid level, and then you go down to triploid varieties being handed over to the farmers. But even here, in banana, again, by using modern and most updated statistics, in this particular case, the team was able to do what otherwise it would be really hard or really expensive to do, cutting 2 years in the banana breeding programs, simply by using the right statistics. The realization became that instead of making and wait for several years into making selection in the field, you could really go for very early selections in the field, and while keeping a good enough genetic correlation. So if we can deliver this in banana, we can deliver this in any single breeding program in the global south. The third story is about embracing artificial intelligence, but on your own terms, not just following a fashion. You need to do this on your own terms. And again, I don't have the time to go into the details about how intelligence in artificial works, but it is enough to say that with artificial intelligence, we can impact every single component of the breeder's equation, and therefore we will be able to increase genetic gains. And not only that, there is plenty of free training around. Go for it and use it to your advantage on your own terms. Okay, and actually there is a crop GPT being developed already that we can tap into, just like we tap into ChatGPT on a global on a daily basis. Finally, once you increase genetic gains, you need to hold on to them, and this is where operational excellence comes into the picture. There have been several modeling work in industry like this one, but also in the public world, showing very clearly that something which may look as trivial and simple as mislabeling, it may have a huge negative impact on a breeding program. So we need to look after mislabeling. And the good news that you can do that very cheaply. This is an example about cassava, where several years ago there was a very large number of mislabeling in this cassava breeding program in Ghana. As you can see in the figure, the same situation was taking place a couple of years ago in sweet potato, were going from the field into what the farmers were getting, up to 1 on 3 genotypes was being mislabeled. This is simple and acceptable because now we have the technology to fix this very quickly. And in closing, some take-home messages for the breeding programs from the Global South. Always use the breeding equation as your compass. B, fix the CIP, the low-hanging fruits first, before going into some more expensive approaches such as genomic selection. Even if the budget is not the limiting factor, before implementing into gene editing, into genomic prediction, we first need to address the low-hanging fruits, as I shared with you in just 4 very simple stories. Also, embrace ChatGPT and the chat crop and AI tools very quickly, but to expand your capabilities, not to replace your decision insights. And finally, you are not alone. Reach out that there is vast, huge expertise to be shared and to leverage across ICRISAT, CIP, other CGR centers through South-South collaboration. And finally, in closing with this beautiful picture with this lady, banana vendor in Ghana, I'd like to thank again for the opportunity and for the long-term Gates Foundation financial support to our work. Over to you in just over 10 minutes. Thank you.